Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Trading with Ashley show. I am honored to have one of my friends, Stock with Josh, on with me today. And Josh is one of the individuals that I constantly look for his videos because he's so smart with technicals. So I asked him to be my guest to help all of you that listen to me with some of the psychology behind the technicals that he's so good at. Now, let me explain kind of what I am referring to. So we all have watched as Josh has shown us charts, and we see something like a gap fill where we know that that was when a stock jumped up or fell down quickly and it left a lot of traders behind. We have seen where it moves to certain moving averages and then it seems to find support and move back up. And we have heard Josh talk a lot about how it is going to maybe hit a ceiling, or if it gets over certain things, it'll just take off. Well, one thing that I was thinking about that may be helpful for all of you is there's actually behavior behind what makes these technicals work. It's not just magic that it's the technical and that's what makes it happen. It's not like a magnet's pulling the stock down. There's actually human behavior or algos behind what we're seeing happen and play out. So, Josh, would you share your perspective with my audience on what's behind the technicals? What's the psychology? Why do the technicals work so well when we're trading? And why should we respect them?
Well, okay, so this is a topic about liquidity and generally the idea of where money exists. Where will buyers or sellers wake up? And the dynamic or the challenge is that Wall Street or institutions, they're the ones with the big money. They're the ones who defend price structure or attack price structure. And we are the ones that sort of fill in between the gaps of their purchases. And so wherever there is an anticipation of buying, or let's say that there is support. If you hear me say that such and such price is a support level, this is where there's a lot of people who have front run and put a limit order in that will trigger if the price comes down to that level. And so the algorithm, as they say, is always hunting for liquidity. And so what they'll do is, or you've often heard it said, then people put their stop losses in and they put them in right below support, and it comes and it hits their stop loss and then it takes off from there. Uh, Wall Street is always hunting for where the most liquidity is at any given moment, operating against or for the bulls or the bears. And so structure is where the buyers or the sellers are living. So it's where people are watching for a place that maybe the price had gone before. And largely it's going to be institutions that said, if the price gets up here, it's overvalued and it doesn't make sense buying. Matter of fact, it makes sense selling there. And then we're going to patiently wait for price to slowly work its way down back to a place where it has a good forward PE or a good valuation, and then we're going to reload there. So to make the to answer the question as specifically as I can, everything that revolves around charting is to identify where those buyers and sellers are, and it's to identify where the volume is, because you're always going to have buyers and sellers spread throughout the entire price range, but you're looking for the large pockets of buyers or the large pockets of sellers. And so you're going to be in those pockets, which are continuously hit between sort of the buying overselling moment to the uh, to the overbuying moment. The price is going to move back and forth. And here's an explanation for you, Ashley. You and I both bought when the big tech companies were down beneath their 200-day moving average, and when we were oversold, because what there was the overall macro bearishness that the trade war was just going to destroy the global economy. No deals would ever get worked out, and we know that the stories that move stocks move them to technical places where they are going to have a valuation. Because this is another thing, people don't realize how much money is sitting on the sidelines at any given moment. The money is being produced through productivity. There's billions and trillions of dollars. And one of the reasons why, and today we talked about the fact, I know I'm jumping around a little bit. Today we talked about the fact that there was a failed bond auction, right? And I made this comment in a video the other day. Where are they going to go? Are they going to go buy India's bonds? Are India's bonds better than US bonds? Are they going to go buy China's bonds? No other country in the world, even though we've been downgraded, has an economy that would support the investment that the US economy supports. And so, what I'm trying to make a point is that there's all this money that is always being flooded into the US economy. It's why the SPY is ever climbing, but they can't put it all in at one time. There has to be a strategy of it being deployed. And that's where you end up finding in the charts these structures. And on the RSI, we refer to it as overbought and oversold. On the MACD, we refer to it as the equilibrium of momentum. It's what gives us buy or sell signals. It's telling us whether momentum is accelerating to the upside or whether it's cooling off and getting ready to roll over and go to the downside. So the charts give us structure, and that structure typically represents pockets of buyers or sellers. And the price, and I want to make this comment, Ashley. A lot of people don't realize that they almost think price is real. Okay. Now, this is going to be like I'm going to unravel the fabric of their investment imaginations. Their price is not real, right? The price is whatever anybody will give for it at that given time. So you say, well, I've got, I think this ring here, right? This ring, I think was purchased for, I think about $5,000, $6,000. And if I wanted to turn around and go sell that to a pawn shop, the worth of it is they're going to give me $1,000 for it. They're not going to give me 5 or 6,000. You can watch those shows on TV where people walk in and they tell the guy, oh, I paid 5, 10 grand for this Rolex. And then the guy says, I'll give you $500. This is the way I want you to view stocks on Wall Street. The price is always negotiable and heavily influenced by the news. And there's always a big pile of institutional investors who have money to put at work, and they are creating structure within the charts. And we, as the small goldfish, not the sharks or the whales, we're simply trying to identify that structure in the charts, and we're trying to follow them. We're not trying to get ahead of them. That was a lot, but what else do you have for me?
I love it. I love it. If you had to think of one indicator for somebody that's new with technicals, what indicator would you say is something they should pay attention to? For me personally, on quality companies, it's the RSI, particularly looking at maybe the 3-month RSI if I'm going to be selling options. What one indicator, if you could start with your indicator journey, would you recommend to
Well,
learn?
for a fact, I want everybody to understand, I use the term that price is truth. Each candle is an indicator, okay? And so the very first thing I would wish that people would do is to study candle theory because they can understand what's happening in the market by just understanding each and every candle and the story that it tells, as one candle tells a story about the next incoming candle, right? So really, it's you start your journey with your understanding of candle theory and the shapes of candle. I always say a doji. It's a weird word, but it simply is Japanese for same as, and it's the plus sign, right? Or little cross candle. And that tells you that the bulls and the bears both came at the price at an equal level of strength, and neither one of them won. So the first indicator that everybody needs to be looking at is candle theory. The second indicator that is wildly ignored, but it's only because folks don't understand it, and that's volume. Number one is your candle, and which represents your price in a given time frame. Number two is your volume, and that represents the strength of the move. Now, if the candle was a hammer candle, which is sort of a flat top and a long tail out of the bottom, and it was down at the bottom of a price move where it had gotten oversold and it had a high volume bar, that could reflect capitulation or reversal. And so the second most important indicator is always going to be volume, and volume confirms what the candle said. After that, you're going to be looking at your MACD for buy and sell signals, and your two lines, your MACD line and your signal line, if they cross up above the zero line, that's a buy signal. If they cross down below, that's a sell signal on any given time frame. And so if you are in a position and the MACD has just recently crossed below the zero line and it's pointing down and you decided you were going to buy, you are going against the trend and you're breaking my number one rule, which is to trade the trend. The fourth most important indicator is going to be your RSI. And this one tells you a lot about momentum, and it gives you that perspective of whether something is getting overbought and it's heated up and it's time for it to cool down, or whether it's gotten oversold. And so it gives you the best depiction of bearish divergence or bullish divergence, or whether a stock is hot, neutral, or cold, whether it's in the camp of the bulls or whether it's in the camp of the bears. Now, when I first started trading them, I actually found them to be confusing and extremely inconsistent, right? But the truth is, I realized looking back on those years, Ashley, that I just wasn't being taught correctly how to use them. Because once I really understood how to use all of them, they're just wildly clear. It seems crystal clear to me now looking at them versus when I first started. It just seemed like a bunch of confusion.
So speaking of how once you learned the proper way to look at technicals, let's just share with my audience what you and I are teaming up to do. So I'm super excited. For most of you know from watching me, I actually trademarked a term. It's called the skip call option. And it works in conjunction very well with the leap call option. It's a great way to trade. And Josh is picked up on the term and enjoys using it as well,
Yes.
and he talks about it a lot. But Josh and I are teaming up for a workshop, and we are going to be training. He'll be training the technicals. I'll be training all about skips and what they are and how to use them to increase your wealth and how to protect yourself in case you selected the wrong entry. After all, the work that you put in, if you still were wrong, there's a way to protect yourself. So I'll be teaching that part. But a big part of this workshop that we're doing together, it's the first one we've ever done together, is that you are going to learn a lot of the technicals that he just spoke about. And that's pretty exciting for traders because when you add the two together, the technicals with the concepts, that's when you can really, I mean, you have all the tools you need to do the job.
I love it, and I'm super excited. And I don't know, we haven't talked about this too much, but I've run with your skips, the terminology, and I enjoy your show, and I enjoy the things you teach about the skips. And we entered into a pile of skips on all of the Magnificent Seven sometime after April 9th. We didn't catch the bottom. And it was hard to hold them when we got into them because there were still some red days after we entered, but those went up, Ashley. I think the number one went up over 600%, and we had three of the Magnificent Seven that went up over 400%. And the only regret that I had was, of course, not loading up more. At the time, I was trying to honor my discipline of controlling my position size because we didn't know which direction things were ultimately going to go. But those were wildly profitable. And I would say that you don't need to trade every day, and you don't need to become the master of scalp trading where you get in and out on 1 minute candles. If you can master skips and you can use technicals to determine when you're going to take your risk and when you're going to take your profit, you can make enough money doing something right just a handful of times during the year that can far exceed the profits of a lot of day traders. And so I'm really excited about doing this upcoming boot camp with you. I'm excited to hear more about your part of it, and I am excited to unfold and unravel, my love and passion for the charts, because truly you got to love this stuff, and I do, and I can't wait to share it all with you guys.
It's gonna be exciting, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'll drop a link on this video where you can sign up for it if you want to. If you're in our communities already, we do have a link that we're adding into our communities, and it gives you a little bit of a discount if you're already in our communities. So we'll make sure that we get those posted in short order. So if you're already in our community, go through the Discord so that you can get the discount link. And if you're not in the community and you want to join us, we'll have the link below for you. But Josh, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you came on my show tonight to help everyone make sense of it all. And I'm looking forward to working with you very soon.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on as a guest. I love your show.
Thank you.